Everyone loves a good mystery. Did they really do it? Where's the evidence? It's super easy to hook people on a trail of unanswered questions and unknown truths, especially if the answer to it all is lying in wait at the end, waiting for someone clever enough to discover it. Sadly, within the gaming sphere, there's a disappointing lack of stories revolving around a tightly structured, ever widening mystery that needs solving. However, you ever find yourself hankering for a meaty detective story unlike any other, in a setting that's entirely unique and unpredictable? And I'd recommend a little title from 2013. I think you'd like it. Goes by the name Following the massive success of their Walking Dead series that made me big sad, Telltale Games moved on to a far lesser known franchise with the Fables IP. Fables is a comic series centered on those old school fantasy characters like Snow White, the Three Little Pigs, the ones from stories you definitely know but don't ever remember actually reading because you don't read, because reading involves effort, and effort is just not something one has anymore. Anyway, these characters are thrust into a modern day New York following a mass evacuation out of their homelands, where they are forced to blend into society through the use of a glamour. Think polyjuice potions from Harry Potter, but long lasting and done with a wand instead of gross jungle juice. Or risk being sent to the mass detention area called the Farm. You interact and operate within this world through the eyes of the big bad wolf himself, albeit looking much more human and armed with a debilitating smoking habit and a deadly amount of sarcasm.
How you doing? Looking at a 3-foot toad in a sweater. That's a problem.
A lot of stools in this place.
There's only one right next to you.
Now known as Bigby Wolf, the sheriff of all of Fabletown, in charge of keeping all fables in line and serving as the underground society's main muscle. This leads to you butting heads with a whole lot of fables, each of whom are either pissed off at you or just terrified of you. And I can't imagine why. The game firmly establishes right away just how thankless a position Bigby's is, as well as just how much of an uphill battle it'll be earning people's trust, when he's firmly known for his past life as a rampant predator. This uphill battle, at least from the player perspective, starts with a seemingly innocuous house call, where you break up a domestic dispute that ends with you hopelessly ruining Mr. Toad's insurance premium on two fronts. Afterwards, in a short lived moment of actual pleasant conversation, Bigby meets a mysterious young lady that seems like just another out of luck soul. But as you will soon learn, she is far, far more than that. Not but 2 hours later, all of Fabletown is turned upside down as that same woman's head is left on the grumpy old sheriff's doorstep, and this society finds itself in a bit of a tizzy, as for the first time, there's been a murder in Fabletown. This sets off a flurry of activity and chaos as tensions only continue to escalate, and more revelations are brought to light, among other systemic issues that up until now were easy to ignore for several of Fabletown's higher ups. After all, this isn't just a series revolving around an intense murder mystery. Not only does it discuss several prevalent issues within our own society, you know, that thing we live in.
We're living in a society!
Like economic disparity, power dynamics, mistreatment of sex workers, the list goes on. And at the heart of the whole experience is a personal battle going on within our chain-smoking protagonist. A battle for his own sense of identity, as well as a possible quest for moral redemption. What follows is a 5-episode detective story that take you from the grungy underbelly of the society to even some mystical destinations you likely wouldn't expect. The game has you going from location to location, following up on leads, investigating clues, and conducting interrogations that look like this, or this. in a point-and-click style that serves as a seamless way of interacting within the environment and discovering those crucial details that'll get you one step closer to breaking this whole case open. The game is all killer and no filler, as the case continually gets bigger and more encompassing than it had started, with the implications of each development implying some potentially devastating consequences to all of Fabletown if you don't act fast and effectively. That being said, although this is certainly a neo noir detective story through and through, the core of the whole experience is the battle for Bigby's soul. Through his many interactions with Fable's citizens and the decisions he makes during high pressure moments, you determine who exactly Bigby Wolf is. Through the expertly crafted intro, you learn how others see Bigby,
Very pricked up.
which you have something of a say in through your chosen responses, what an average night looks like as the sheriff of Fabletown, and how Bigby feels about everyone else's perception of him. When talking to Colin, one of the three little pigs whose house he may or may not have blown down, Colin mentions how scared everyone is of him. Depending on your answer, Bigby can either revel in
It
this
is better to be feared than loved. You know who said that?
Yeah, some sad asshole.
or resent the fact.
I thought we were all supposed to have a fresh start here. I can't change the past.
Well, you can't change people's memories either.
This is where Bigby's arc begins. As the episodes progress, you're put through increasingly tense, morally gray situations where your choices will either cater to everyone's pre existing perception of you or go against it. Are you and will you always be the big bad wolf that killed indiscriminately years ago and ruled through fear and anger? Or are you Bigby Wolf, the democratically appointed sheriff that simply wants everyone to be able to coexist peacefully in this foreign new home? It's entirely up to you, and it's a massive reason why The Wolf Among Us is so compelling. Just to further illustrate what the true focus of the game is, the climax isn't about the discovery of the killer, but a trial in which you and your actions can be used against you, possibly allowing a guilty man in power to go free if what you've done and how you've conducted yourself reflects a greater threat to the society than the actual man on trial. That is, if you feel like letting him have a trial. While not every decision you made will factor, which is the case in many of these types of games, here you feel the weight of those little moments where your discretion and tact in small, intimate sequences could very well be the straws that break Fabletown's back. Now, I know all of this sounds very heavy and a bit daunting to take on from a player perspective, but this is not a game like The Walking Dead or The Last of Us, where it beats you down mentally until you're in a mess of tears and emotions by the end, telling the people that are concerned for your well being, no, 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 I'm fine.
Totally fine. I don't know why it's coming out all loud and squeaky, because really, I'm fine.
It's really good. You should play it. This is a game, like most good detective stories, is supported wonderfully by the lead detective that navigates the plot. Whether you're the Good Samaritan Bigby or the insanely violent and aggressive version, so many interactions throughout will have you cracking up and chuckling to yourself. Bigby is just such a sassy bitch that so much of his dialogue is just gold, making many moments so much better with his presence. There are a lot of oof moments, but it's counterbalanced by hilarious instances of one liners and unique character moments only possible within this world.
The guy's got an axe in his brain. He's not feeling that.
It's more from me. He'll be fine.
I'll kill you, you fucking bitch.
Every time you're on your way to meeting a new member of the cast, you feel a little bit of giddiness, as you're never quite sure just what direction the game will take once this person is implemented into the main narrative. This is a title that just nails so many aspects, with one of the primary standouts being its soundtrack. Now, I know we've only known each other for one video prior to this, but I am a big music boy. Not in the way I can tell you which note is which or what instrument is being used, which would probably be useful knowledge to have considering I try out for musical theater and it only benefit me to know those things, but I never take the time even though I should. And okay, getting a little off topic here. Getting back to the music. It is instrumental, yeah, I got jokes, in establishing this game's atmosphere. The neon lighting and vibrant use of color mixed with harsh shadows and darkness does much of the legwork here. But in comes the music to knock it all out of the park. The music and visuals engross you into this world, making each moment sting, scare, or hit harder than it would have otherwise. The eerie moments sent a chill down your spine. The investigative moments got you feeling the urge to grab a microscope and a smoke. And the badass moments, oh man, are rather, well, Jared Emerson Johnson, appreciate you. I wanted to talk about this game because, unlike Spider-Man, this game flew way under the radar. And this is likely because, unlike The Walking Dead, Fables isn't a well-known franchise. It's doubtful Telltale expected it to have such a passionate following. I mean, even though the game ends on a cliffhanger, the credits literally end with, "Want to continue the story? Then read the friggin' books, you big nerds." The fact that Telltale continued other series like The Walking Dead, Batman, even Minecraft
On his head.
and Guardians of the Galaxy over this one illustrated as much, clearly indicating a disinterest in continuing this series. Telltale had plenty of gems throughout the years, but none of them made the significant impression on me that old Wolfie Among Us did. And back in my day, The Wolf Among Us was the only Among Us game out there. I had to do it, I'm sorry. Despite the complete radio silence for literally half a decade, the fans continued to clamor for more. And in 2018, fans got the announcement that they had won it. Season 2 of Wolf Among Us was a reality. Then Telltale straight up declared bankruptcy like a few months later. I mean, you guys could have just said, "No Season 2, we changed our minds," but okay, whatever. Go off. So again, fans were flung into a black hole of uncertainty as things weren't looking promising for a true follow-up. But then, as if life itself openly said aloud, "Well, I guess these guys can have, one good thing. Just this once." And at the 2019 Game Awards, everyone's favorite cel-shaded, non-hygienic sheriff reappeared in a teaser for an honest-to-goodness, LOL, we're not kidding this time, Season 2. It may have been 11 months since that reveal with absolutely no new information, but my hype levels remain consistent. But the question remains, could a Season 2 ever live up to the wait? Why keep it going? For me personally, I don't know if a follow-up could live up to the hype. Season 1 took me by surprise and got me invested in this universe. I want to see where things go from here. Because even though it feels like everything is taken care of by the end, there's still the nagging feeling that at least one piece of the puzzle remains out of place. Regardless of the finality of Episode 5's conclusion, that sense of misdirection remains ever present and undeniable. That one final loose thread rears its head, forcing you to pull it, unveiling a hidden truth that you never thought possible. In that final moment, you're faced with a choice. Do you keep pulling to see how far this thread goes, or do you leave it be?
You're not as bad as everyone says you are.
You're not as bad as everyone says you are.
You consider both, but the answer is clear. You don't know where it may take you, but hey, you're the sheriff. Taking on the unknown is your specialty.